Hey everybody, welcome to Our Watch. I am Tim Thompson. We're going to be talking about a ballot measure in the state of California to protect children. Also going to be talking about community schools. In order to talk about that, we are very blessed today to have on our podcast Kelly Shinkuski. Kelly, thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so you just got back from D.C. We're going to, like I said, talk about the Protect Kids California ballot measure and also community schools. You got back from D.C. and you have some alarming news for the people tuning in about the lack of knowledge about community schools in the Congress. Talk to us about that if you would.
Yeah, of course. I spent a couple days going around to the different offices of members of Congress, and I spoke with many different staff members there in Washington, D.C., and no one that I spoke with had heard of community schools yet. And this is an agenda that is sweeping the country. It is not just in California, but it's popping up in Idaho, in Arizona, in Missouri, in North Carolina, all across the country. And it is so imperative that the public make calls to their congressmen and women and let them know, let their staff know that this is a serious concern. Because as these grow across the country, so does the government's intrusion into the family and into parental rights. This is a big new agenda, and it's referred to as the whole school, whole community, whole child model. It is a joining of health and education for equity, and it is found on the Center for Disease Control's website. It is often referred to in short as the WISC model. So sometimes parents are looking for this in their school districts. They're going to find components of this WISC model, and it may be on your state Department of Education's website, but it also may be found on your state Department of Health's website or even your county health website. So make sure, since this is a combination of health and equity, anyone in your audience listening, if you're examining this in your state or your region, make sure to also examine your health agencies for this model.
You know, we're talking about community schools here, but you said that you find this on the CDC's website. How does the CDC connect it to what's happening on government-run schools?
Yeah, actually, back in the 80s, there were talks about bringing government social services and these wraparound concepts into schools. And this has been a model that has been long in the works, but it was officially launched in 2013 of the effort to join health and education. So this is joining of the Center for Disease Control and this organization called the Association for Supervision and Curriculum Development. They go by the acronym ASCD. And the goal is this combination of health and education where we start to see the school negate a sole focus on reading, writing, and arithmetic, which we know they're already not doing well. And now they're going to take on additional responsibilities of biological, psychological, social, emotional, and physical health and well-being. This is a big model that integrates all of these government social services onto the school site, making the school a hub of every community. And it is something that needs to be on the radar of all of our congressmen and women. Why? Because the federal government is funding this model throughout the country. They're recently announcing through the Biden and Harris administration funding for adding social emotional supports and school counselors and social workers. All of this funding helps implement the community school model.
And we know that a lot of the agenda in this is cutting parents out of their children's lives and then getting people to develop an attachment to the state, where the state is the one that provides for them.
Absolutely. There is already an effort to start promoting not just one meal a day for every student, regardless of income. And this sounds very compassionate, mind you, but all meals. In Horace Mann in California, there's a school district already piloting housing at a community school. There's washers and dryers appearing at schools as well. But while all of those things sound good, the predominant focus that is seldom marketed for these community schools is the application of sexual and reproductive health and rights, also known as SRHR. And the application of this is found in the school-based health centers, where they want children to access medical care separate from their parent or guardian, separate from having to leave campus and go to an abortion provider, for example. These campuses would be implementing not just sexual and reproductive health care, but they would also be promoting, in the intent of the model, what they would call gender affirming healthcare. And they would also be implementing vaccinations. And what is a very big agenda is the mental health care, which, again, all of these things, the tip of the surface, the iceberg looks small, but we have to go below the surface and examine what this plan is really about. And when you do that, it's shocking and concerning.
Yeah, for sure. I want to shift gears here because we have a few minutes left. I want to talk about the Protect Kids California ballot measure that's coming up. Talk to us about that, if you would.
Yeah, this is what everyone in California and across the nation, you can support financially. But here in California, we need signatures to be gathered. This is imperative. Right now in California, a lot of this gender ideology has invaded our schools. We know that they are marketing this agenda to kids. So what the Protect Kids CA ballot initiative does is it takes what Sacramento won't allow to be passed and takes this to the voters, which we know by and large have already shown in polling that the left and the right agree on this initiative. And so what would it do? It would protect sports and spaces from the opposite sex. So if you're a young girl and you're playing sports, this would allow you to succeed in your sport without having to compete with the opposite sex in your sport. This would also protect overnight field trips. We heard a story out of Colorado where an 11-year-old girl contacted her parents because she was told by the school staff that she was going to share a bed with another female student. Well, that female student was a boy identifying as a girl. And so we need to protect the locker rooms, the bathrooms, the field trips, and the sports. And then ultimately, this would also notify parents of any kind of name change or sexuality change identification with the school, so loving parents can walk with their children through these situations. And then it would also prevent puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and mutilating surgeries from occurring in minors in the state of California. This is imperative that we all get behind this and get signatures. So you can go to protectkidsca.com. There is a video that anybody can watch on how to collect signatures. And then there are forms to download and print out that you can begin today gathering those signatures before May and send them off.
Yeah, so important that we do that. This is a pivotal time here in the state of California. I don't often agree with Governor Newsom, but he said something I do agree with. He said, as California goes, so goes the nation. Like I said, don't often agree with him, but I do agree with that. It's so important that here in the state of California, we get this on the ballot. As you said, a majority of the voters agree. In fact, the polling said 8 out of 10 voters, 80% of people in the state of California agree that parents have the right to direct the upbringing of their children, that the state should not be interfering with that. So protect kids. What is it? Say it again.
ProtectKidsCA.com. Again, that's ProtectKidsCA as abbreviation for California.com.
Yeah, so important. So Kelly, thank you for joining us today. Appreciate all that you do.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for all you do as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to thank you all for tuning in online. We got a lot more coming up for you, so make sure that you tune in. We'll see you next time right here on Our Watch with Tim Thompson.